everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for this very important webinar. As we all know, the election process is not working. It is something of a mockery of democracy. And fortunately, there are lots of things we can do to fix this. For example, ranked choice voting, how that would completely make obsolete this mythology about the so-called spoiler effect. We hear about approval voting. How is that different from ranked choice? How would proportional representation also fix the fundamental problem in our electoral system? Give us a voice. How would it work in combination with ranked choice voting? What about all the backroom deals and the dark money and these loopholes for legalized bribery, basically, that our election system is? As, what's his name? The famous Supreme Court Justice, Louis Brandeis, said quite a while ago, we have a choice between vast concentrations of wealth or a democracy. And in this country, we've chosen vast concentrations of wealth. How do we deal with that and its fundamental corruption of our political process? How do we stop this effort to silence progressive voices and political competition? We're seeing that going on in a very big way right now in this election. People may be enjoying the spectacle of AOC Pelosi, we call her, trying to police us as a third party and smear our campaign for being predatory. You know, great for a genocidal political party to accuse the Greens of being predatory. So our speakers are going to address these and other questions, and then we're going to open the door to questions and thoughts from the Kelly, audience. And feel free to jump in whenever. So turning now to Mike Feinstein, a former Green Party mayor of Santa Monica, California, and kind of one of our resident election reform experts, who's going to talk about proportional representation and maybe about some ranked choice voting as well. Thank you so much, Mike, for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you to the Missouri Green Party so much for your very professional organizing of this event. Many of you know that our Green Party movement was started in 1984 in this country around a set of 10 key values, and we were always taught, rightfully, that those 10 key values are actually interconnected, and two of them connect to our topic tonight. In particular, the concept of ecological wisdom teaches us that our fates are interconnected, that we are all interdependent on this planet, not only all human beings, but all life forms. And grassroots democracy suggests that all of us need to have a say in the governmental decisions that affect our lives. And the connection of those two suggests that all of us, to have a viable and healthy democracy and to come up with good public policy that works for everybody, everybody has to have a seat at the table of our democracy. And that's why our Green Party platform calls for ranked choice voting for single-seat executive office and full proportional representation for local, state, and federal legislatures. In single-seat office, ranked choice voting is in play for your mayor, for your governor, your secretary of state, your statewide treasurer, the statewide constitutional offices, and for president. And what it does for us, and really for all voters, is a couple of really key things. Number one, yes, as other speakers alluded to, it ultimately leads to a winner with a majority vote, but in the process, it sends better policy signals to the ultimate winner. In our current system, if you accept the lesser of evil dynamic and you just give your vote to somebody who maybe isn't great representing what you stand for, but they're the least worse, then you haven't told them what are the issues that are most important for you. But if you have a ranked choice voting system, and let's say you rank the Green Party candidate number one and then somebody else number two, And if there's a large percentage of people who vote for that green with their first choice, then the ultimate winner, if they then receive the second preference or third preference, can look back and say, okay, those issues, those 3 or 4 issues that were key for the Green Party are ones that gave me a good portion of my ultimate winning vote. And we all have heard about how Ralph Nader, 2000 in Florida, etc. Well, Ralph Nader made corporate power and the corporate dominance of life in the United States a key issue of his campaign. Now, Ralph was at 8% in August in 2000, but the lesser of evil dynamic ended up driving down his numbers, and he ended up with 2.7 nationally and about 3% of the vote. But if we had ranked choice voting in place rather than being at 8%, because those polls always say, who are you going to vote for, rather than who best represents your point of view. If we had a system then where people felt free to vote for their point of view, Nader probably is getting 15 or 20% of the vote in 2000, and then sends a massively different policy signal to that ultimate winner. Another thing which happens in our current system is, without having ranked choice voting, there is vote splitting, which often goes on between different camps, and candidates are encouraged not to run because of the danger of vote splitting. So that dynamic in our current system is a disincentive for more people to get on. And even if you have a single generally a single constituency, there might be different strains in that constituency, and you would have a more healthy public debate if all of those people ran, and then the ranked choice voting system could generate who is the person strongest among them. So it would both empower voters, give better signals to the ultimate winner, and make it easier for more people to run and healthier in our democracy. On the presidential level, our platform calls for a national popular vote by ranked choice voting, so that the entire country could go ahead and do this. And there is this National Popular Vote Compact, which some of you are familiar with, where each state legislature votes to say, ultimately, when enough states adopt this National Compact Vote Compact, that then it would go into play, and we would give our Electoral College votes to the winner of the popular vote. This is a way around having to amend the Electoral College in the Constitution. Well, we want to go further than that and have that be by ranked choice voting as well. And again, imagine in Jill's campaign, the Democrats are already scared of her now. Imagine the percentage of the vote that she would be getting, and in particular, young people who tend to support the Green Party in larger percentages would be freer to vote. So that's what we want to see for single seat races. For legislatures, proportional representation is a system where if you get 20% of the vote for your party, then you win 20% of the seats. Now, again, thinking about young voters and a key issue, our climate emergency. Right now, there's a small number of Democrats who have made this an issue for them. They don't go as far as Jill in her Green New Deal, Howie Hawkins in his Green New Deal, and all of our congressional and Senate candidates in pushing the Green New Deal. But that's the limited opportunity for people who really care about this to try and win a few congressional seats where they have a chance, and then those Democrats get pushed down once they get into the larger power structure. Imagine instead we had a system where people who care about the climate emergency could vote that and automatically win seats in proportion to them standing for those issues. Now, let's say that we go through in this cycle and we're running Greens across the country and we win a lot of seats that way, and the Democrats, they don't like it. Well, the next cycle, if they don't do it, we're going to continue to win more and more seats, and that is a way through this proportional system. That is a way to send a message, but also get power. Jill has often said in her campaigns, they don't respond without making a demand. Well, this is power doesn't, whatever it is, however well you say it, Jill, better than me. But this is a way of actually having that demand win power. And in each cycle, if the major parties don't respond, the smaller parties who are campaigning on these kind of issues win more and more power for those issues. So it is a revolutionary sort of change. And of the 38 countries that are in the organization for the OECD, internationally, these are considered to be the major industrial democracies. 33 out of the 38 use some form of proportional representation. It's mostly the ex-English colony countries, England, Canada, United States, that don't use some form of proportional representation. There is a bill in Congress called the Fair Representation Act, which would enact proportional representation for Congress. It could be done simply by legislation on the federal level. In some states, it requires a ballot initiative, either put on by the people or put on by the state legislature. And in my last 2 minutes here, what I want to touch a little bit on is that there is such dissatisfaction with the lack of representation in our current system, and what big moneyed interests are doing is they are hijacking ranked choice voting and trying to implement what are called top 5 systems, top 4, top 5 systems, and so-called open primaries, which are not open primaries, but they're hijacking that language. And many of the ballot measures on this November are those kind of systems. And in Colorado, the Green Party is already opposing Measure 310, which is a top 4 system. What happens in those systems is they use ranked choice voting in the general election, but they eliminate party primaries. They eliminate a guaranteed place on the ballot for all parties, like the Green Party, and then they have a non-RCV primary, which favors big corporate money because all the candidates have to run in a single jungle primary in a system with all voters, which makes it more expensive, and because it's earlier on, it disempowers earlier grassroots campaigns. So what they're doing there is using a system where they will eliminate Greens in the primary and then have ranked choice voting in the general election. So it's a big scam, and we have to oppose those top X systems wherever we go. So I just want to know that Greens can actually go less than the 10 minutes. I'm at 9:40. I'll stop it there and look forward to your questions.
Good job, Mike. Thank you.
All right, thank you to all of our commenters. We have a couple of people in the chat who had their hands up, so we'll have 1 minute to hear from you if you have a question that you want to direct to our speakers, and then we'll go back to Jill and the speakers if they want to address anything that's been discussed so far or any of the Q&A questions that you can find at the bottom of the window. So first we'll go to Asa Gordon. Welcome, Asa. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, I'm a chair of the D.C. State of the Green Party Electoral College Task Force. I'm also a consulting curator and research historian for the African American Civil War Memorial. I want you to understand that I have been the most prolific promoter of proportional apportionment and enforcement of a Reconstruction article in the Green Party. I'm quite frankly a little amazed that I was not a part or thought of as being a part of this panel during this discussion. I am recipient of the National Civil Rights Conference for my work on the 14th Amendment and Section 2 of the 14th Amendment. That's the reduction of representation clause. I Google Asa CuringElectoralDysfunction College, and you'll find more links to me with respect to the electoral dysfunction than anyone on this panel. Go to C-SPAN, Google Asa CuringElectoralDysfunction College. C-SPAN has has covered 2 presentations I made on the 14th Amendment in the second section, and also during the sesquicentennial commemoration of the Civil War, Richmond highlighted my presentation on the voting rights due to the Black Civil War veterans following the Civil War and their role in the passage of the 14th and 15th Amendment. Also at the 2016 Green Party Convention, I stood before this party, you can Google that also, and I told this party that in your electoral platform, you have the most racist article under 1F for the electoral reform of any of the parties. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Your platform depends on McPherson versus Bracken, which was decided in 1892 to redeem right redemption from blacks who reformed the civil Reconstruction. The national part.
Asa, you have about 30 seconds.
All right, I'll close up. The National Popular Vote Initiative is in violation of Section 2, and if you implement it, you would lose all your representation in Congress. Jill Stein, I've given you all this information. You have never contacted me, to be frank, about any of these information that I've given you on this. There's no one on this panel that is nationally recognized on what is done on this issue. Also, I want you to understand that the Green Party did have an impact on the Black Caucus of the Democratic Party, who tried to implement a platform that would have democratized the Electoral College. It was Jesse Jackson's son who implemented it. The Green Party, through me in D.C., caused them to amend that because they had in that platform, they would have constitutionalized winner take all in the Constitution. They realized their mistake and they stripped that. They stripped that out, and that is because of the advocacy I was made for proportional apportionment of the presidential electors based on the popular split. I'm through. If you want to contact Google Asa Gordon Electoral College and educate yourself to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Asa. I'm definitely going to be Googling Asa Gordon Electoral College and going back to our notes from this about the specific cases you referenced.
Would we like to hear any closing comments from the rest of the panelists before we end the program tonight?
I could just say real quick that I am an elected Green. I've been elected since 1989. I'm currently mayor of my little borough in Western Pennsylvania. So I guess I could just say real quick that I am an elected Green. I've been elected since 1989. I'm currently mayor of my little borough in Western Pennsylvania. So I guess I'm the antithesis of the predator, whatever it is. And also, thank you, Asa, for all that information. That was good stuff.
And I also want to give a shout out for Asa, who's done absolutely incredible work and did a lot to educate me. I think it was back in 2016. And I did get a packet from you, Asa, and I will go back and dig it out and take a look at it. I'm sorry it's gotten lost in the shuffle, but you've been doing absolutely amazing work, and and keep it